So let's say, for the sake of argument, that all of the water levels around the world rise by let's say 5 feet over the next 100 years, say 10 feet by the next 100 years, and it puts all the low-lying areas on the coast underwater, right? Which, let's say all of that happens. You think that people aren't going to just sell their homes and move?
Well, today we'll be having a look at parts of a Ben Shapiro interview he did with Joe Rogan. I'm not sure if I'll be up to the task, given that...
Love him or loathe him, I'm sure you'll agree with me when I say that Ben Shapiro is one of the greatest debaters around. He's intelligent, quick-witted, excellent at avoiding distractions, is amply armed with references, and, of course, he wields some fantastic one-liners.
Or he talks fast, depends on no one being able to look at his references, and preys on his audience's bias. He also likes to contradict himself, and as Rationality Rules later notes in his video, religion is Ben's soft underbelly. He likes to march out his facts don't care about your feelings trope, but when it comes to religion, his feelings trumping facts become glaringly obvious. Although, as shown by the opening clip, I think Ben has enough soft underbelly to go around. Anyhow, let's jump into the video.
Well, this is also the argument against pork, is because they didn't understand trichinosis. They didn't understand you have to cook the meat to 145 degrees and pork parasites, which are very dangerous for people.
So I'm not a huge fan of naturalistic explanations for religion.
A few minutes later.
Yeah, you've got Moses splitting the sea and all that.
What do you think happened there?
What do I think happened there?
Yeah.
Well, I'll go with the Maimonidean explanation that there was, it says in the Bible there was a strong east wind. So there's a naturalistic explanation for a physical phenomenon.
That makes sense.
I mean, that's what Maimonides is constantly trying to do, is read nature back into the Bible.
Yeah.
So much for not liking naturalistic explanations for religion. But I actually looked up this wind idea, and it is possible. It could have been a, quote, effect called a wind set down, in which strong winds, a little over 60 miles per hour, create a push on coastal water, which in one location creates a storm surge. But in the location from which the wind pushes, in this case the east, the water moves away, end quote. Now, there's a number of objections to this hypothesis, which include its location and how accurately we're able to reconstruct what the area would have looked like in the time Exodus was written. In fact, the author of the hypothesis argues that it wouldn't have taken place in what we, in the modern era, consider to be the Red Sea, but instead the Lake of Tanis, which at the time was, quote, a shallow brackish lagoon, end quote. I also very much doubt Moses was stretching his hand out to perform a magic trick. I suppose it's possible that someone observed this natural phenomenon, didn't understand what was happening, and built a story out of it, which may have grown with each new telling. Anyhow, I just thought that was kind of interesting.
In your religion,
yes.
If a man is gay and they're in love with another man, they should just squash those thoughts and find a woman.
Well, ideally, they would be honest with the woman they marry, so they're not messing up the woman.
But they would want to go and get a woman.
Ideally, you would still get married and have children in a heterosexual relationship. If you're not up to that, then you wouldn't get married at all.
Imagine telling someone that because of your ancient superstitions, they should willfully deny themselves the opportunity to enjoy a permanent, committed, loving relationship with a consensual partner if they so choose. It's truly mind-blowing to me. This religious backwardness has led to generations of people having to hide their sexuality, live in relationships they didn't want, and or be physically assaulted for their sexuality. Yet, here we are in 2019 and...
one of the greatest debaters around.
...is sitting in an air-conditioned studio saying the same demeaning, harmful crap many of the religious have said for thousands of years, and he's doing it with a straight face.
Biological drive does not necessarily match up to the activity you ought to engage in. Right? Men, for example, have a biological drive to impregnate many women. That's not something religion is cool with either.
Well, that's not exactly true, is it, Ben? There are many examples of polygamy in the Bible, or the Torah, and even today some rabbis believe polygamy is okay. For example, quote, each year a number of Israeli rabbis affiliated with the rabbinate give permission for dozens of Orthodox Jewish men to take a second wife, despite the fact that polygamy is illegal under state law, an expose by Channel 10 television revealed on Monday. An organization catering primarily to the Jewish Orthodox and ultra-Orthodox communities actively encourages and facilitates polygamy, claiming the practice will help reduce the number of single women within their communities, and at the same time give Jews an edge to the demographic race against Arabs in Israel. End quote. So I guess it's not as cut and dry as Ben wants to make it out to be.
The religious explanation is that there is something different about a woman than there is about a man, and a man is made better through his union with a woman. and that if you pervert the sex drive to pursue mere pleasure instead of a lasting relationship upon which the basis of society is built, then you are foregoing the proper use of your sex drive.
Okay, so the master debater thinks that sex with someone of the same sex is a perversion, but he also seems to assert that there's some quality about a woman, outside of the ability to bear children, that makes a man better, and this unknown quality can't be found in a partner of the same sex. Working in social services, I can absolutely tell you that there are a lot of dysfunctional, abusive relationships out there between people of the opposite sex. Some of those toxic relationships are between two people who feed off of each other. Of course, the opposite is true, and you can find a lot of happy, loving relationships where the couple strengthen each other. The same can be true about same-sex couples. Also, it shouldn't be up to a woman to make you better. Take some responsibility for yourself. You're an adult. Fucking act like it. Anyhow, that's all I really want to say about this interview. I think Ben is terribly backwards about a lot of things, and while I could criticize a lot more of the things Ben has to say in this interview, I don't think my sanity could handle it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, and cheers.
Now you're